Thanks for stopping by for another video. If this video is of any help and you want to support the channel, please take a quick moment to subscribe and drop a comment and a like. Today we are tying up a variant of the gotcha. We're tying up a dubbed bodied spawning gotcha. In the vise, we have a Daiichi 2546 hook, this time in size 4. And the great thing about the gotcha platform is you're able to change the size and the sink rate of the fly very easily by getting a smaller version of the hook or by changing the eyes that you're using. We're using large bead chain eyes for a medium slow sink rate on this. We're going to put a small dot of super glue underneath to help lock things in place. We're just going to do a couple more wraps to lock these eyes in place, and then do some wraps around to just sink things in nice and tight so they don't move around on us. Now that they're tied in, we're going to do some open spiral wraps to get our thread towards the curve of the hook. And we're going to grab some disco dub in shrimp orange. And we're going to go ahead and separate out the fibers, kind of get them aligned a little bit, and tie in a small clump. And tie it in about the midway point of that clump so you can fold the dubbing back over itself and build out a little spawning sac on the back of this fly. Once that's locked into place, grab your scissors and trim off any extra long straggler fibers that you have, and then just work your thread back forward. I'm just building up a small thread base real quick. And now we're going to go ahead and do a dubbing loop. In this loop, we're going to go ahead and use a shorter fiber dubbing. In this specific example, we're using Arctic Snow dubbing in tan color from Fly Tires Dungeon. And go ahead and set up a pretty decent length of dubbing in there. Just align the fibers and get them set up inside this dubbing loop so that you're able to create a nice tight dubbed body. So we're going to start spinning this up. And we want to make this rope nice and tight. That's the nice thing about using this Semperfli Nano Silk is you can really spin these up tight, and you very rarely run the risk of this thread snapping on you unless you rub it along the hook point and you just cut your thread that way. So we'll get that spun up super tight. And now we're going to wrap that around our hook. And we're going to go back over the little bump that we had. And that's where we're going to start with our dubbing so that we can cover up the bump. And then we're just going to do touching wraps all the way forward until we get to right behind the eye of the hook. Now we're getting closer to the eye of the hook, or excuse me, to the dumbbell eyes. We're just going to go ahead and take our thread and catch it right behind those dumbbell eyes, or those bead chain eyes, excuse me. Then we'll go ahead and cut out the remainder of that loop. And now we'll go ahead and trim off a bunch of those fibers, making a nice smooth body right here. Make it as even as we can. Leave the remainder of the fibers preened towards the hook gap to kind of help prop up this wing a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and grab some craft fur, and we're going to measure it out to be right beyond the length of the spawn sac. Now that that's already right there, we're going to go ahead and trim off the craft fur and trim it to a nice square butt. And then use your fingers and get that locked into place nice and tight, holding it tight so you can get your thread over it. Do a loose wrap, and then start cranking down on there to lock it into place. Now we'll go ahead and grab some barred silly legs, and we'll go ahead and take a full leg, wrap it around our thread one time, and then keep that on our side of the hook, right between the craft fur wing and the bead chain eye. And then we'll grab a second silly leg and repeat the process on the far side of the hook. Now I'll go through, clean up our edges a little bit, and we're going to go through and add in a pair of whip finishes before we put some UV resin on there to lock this fly completely down. Then we'll trim off our thread. And I just decided I have a couple of small straggler fibers from my craft fur. I'm going to go ahead and take a lighter and just singe those really quick. Pull the rubber legs back and the other craft fur back just so they don't get singed in the process. And now I'll go ahead and throw on some Raid Zap thin UV resin. Just spread that out gently on the thread. Then hit that with the UV light. And then we'll flip the hook back around, rotate our vise so we can cover up all the exposed thread wraps both between the bead chain eyes and between the other exposed thread wraps. And then we'll hit that with the UV light as well. Now that that's cured up, we're going to go ahead and trim our legs to size, trim them just shy of where the full length of the craft fur wing is, and you'll have a completed fly. Thank you for watching the video. I hope that you found it useful. Make sure to swing by the shop and grab a couple of these for your next trip down to the saltwater chasing bonefish or other hungry fish. Appreciate you. Please subscribe and like and comment on the video, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.